Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rents here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, should the Silver and Black sign Dalton Risner? Bleacher Report has recently linked the offensive guard to the Silver and Black, and I'll tell you whether or not it makes sense for AP and Telesco to go out and get him. I do have a little bit of a top 30 visit update. I'll tell you which player did visit the Raiders and why I think it's kind of notable here for this organization. Are the Raiders going to be signing a quarterback today? There's some speculation out there that that might be the case. And then if anybody wants the Raiders to draft Jaden Daniels, I'll tell you, I got some bad news from Colin Cowherd to take a deep dive on. Now, I am trying to get to 168,000 subscribers here on the Raiders Report. My goal by the NFL draft was 169,000. I thought it'd be a nice number to get to right before the big day. But hey, I continuously put out videos. Chugs and I cover live content, but we're also giving away $1,600 today, I think, to the nation. So if you want to be a part of something a lot bigger than a normal YouTube channel, if you feel like I bleed silver and black, and when I say I'm talking to all of y'all, subscribe for videos every day. Help us get to 168,000 subs. Let's go to this story here around Dalton Risner and in an article written by Bleacher Report titled, "One Free Agent Still on the Market Who Can Help Each NFL Team in 2024. The player that was linked to Las Vegas was Risner because, let's face it, the Las Vegas Raiders do need an offensive guard. Whether you want to say that they need a right guard or whether you want to say an offensive guard in general, because I do think that there's a chance with Dylan Parham's flexibility that you might be able to kick him over to the right side if you wanted the left guard. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say on the Raiders signing Risner. The Raiders needed a starting guard before releasing DJ Fluker on Friday. So that need intensifies now that Fluker is no longer in the building and Jordan Meredith is currently penciled in as a first stringer. Meredith only has one start in 2 seasons, so Las Vegas would be wise to bring in another veteran. Risner is probably the team's best option at the stage in the game as he has 5 years of starting experience. The only problem is he's exclusively played right guard, so either he or Dylan Parham will have to switch sides at the center, but at least this gives the Silver and Black another quality player in the trenches. My take on everything that Bleacher Report said, first off, Bleacher Report is wrong. Risner is a left guard. So I know Bleacher Report said he's played right guard. The last 5 seasons, he's played left guard. So Parham, Risner, they got to be able to make a decision on who would end up playing right guard. I'll also say that DJ Fluker was never in line to start, and them saying that he was going to be the starting option to me just says that they weren't really paying attention to the depth chart. Like, yeah, there might have been a point where Fluker was listed as the starting right guard, but nobody that legitimately follows this team thought that he was ever going to be the starting right guard option. I will admit with this idea, and this has been an idea that I've thrown out there before, and I've said before that I like the idea. But the Raiders, you could sign Risner, you put him at left guard, and then you decide to kick Dylan Parham over to the right side. So here's going to be a question that I want each and every one of y'all to answer, and it's going to be the pinned comment on today's show, which means you're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. While the ad is playing, please let it play. Helps Chugs and I out. Scroll on down. Give me your answer. Give me a yes. Give me a no. Should the Raiders sign Dalton Risner? My answer to the question of whether or not the Raiders should sign Dalton Risner is yes. I believe that the right guard options are a little bit limited for the Silver and Black. On top of that, we talk so much about the quarterback position and whether that starting quarterback is going to be an Aiden O'Connell, a Gardner Minshew, or a rookie this upcoming season. We need to make sure that our offensive line is as solid as humanly possible. And if you do plan on drafting a quarterback early on, you might not have the ability to go out and get some extra talent in the 2024 NFL Draft to build that interior line, to build the line in general. But coming up here, I got even more reasons and more in-depth analysis of why, if I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, I do go out and I sign Dalton Risner. That's all coming up here in just a moment. Before I give you some more in-depth look at why it makes sense for AP and Telesco to sign him, I do got to give a shout-out to today's sponsor, Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I've been talking about Game Time for a while, and I know a lot of people that watch the show have probably heard of them, hopefully have used this app. And if you haven't, I want you to download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful, and I want you to be able to get the tickets that you want without the stress, and that's where Game Time can help you out. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat. and their best price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Obviously, terms apply, but if you can create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, which is CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I was live on the show on Friday, and Friday happy hour kicked my butt, there's no doubt. But I also said that I bought tickets to the Mavs game. It was Mavs-Warriors, which, crazy enough, maybe it's not crazy that Raider fans are Warriors fans, but I did run into a Raiders fan at the game, and he was like, yo, watch your show all the time. It was a really cool experience. And to me, being able to go to that game was fun, especially because it was a hell of a basketball game. I want to say it was like 106, 104. But then I'm also going to have that memory of me running into somebody that watches my show, that enjoys the Raiders Report. So because of that memory, these tickets were absolutely worth it. And I got them 4 hours before tip-off and probably got them 40%, 50% less of what they were the day before. Why? Because I waited to the last minute. Game Time knows that they don't want to just have empty seats, so they got to fill them because I'm going to buy a beer. I'm going to buy some food, and I'm going to spend money while I'm there. And if you're like me and you're like waiting until the last minute, this is the place for you. So promo code CHATSPORTS, $20 off. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So should the Raiders sign Dalton Risner? My answer to this question is yes, because, again, I want to be able to make sure that our offensive line, no matter which quarterback we have, is solidified. And with 4,518 snaps at left guard in a 5-year career, you have the ability to kick Dylan Parham over to right guard. Munford there is probably going to be on your right side as well. He also has some of that AFC West experience, which Tom Telesco has said that he values from 2019 to 2022. The other option of this is it's not going to cost you a lot of money. Like, Risner continuously plays on relatively cheap deals. Like, he didn't sign last year until really, really late in the year. And he was still a good enough player from top to bottom. I mean, look at his PFF numbers here. 745 snaps, a 57.1 overall grade. Like, I understand that some of you are like, oh, that's not very good. But then also on top of that, look at the quarterback play that Minnesota had last season after Kirk Cousins was out. Like, I don't want to fall into a similar situation, but the quarterback situation was not great in Minnesota. A good pass blocking grade. Yeah, the run blocking grade's not all that terrific, but you like to believe next to Andre James, next to Colton Miller, you'd be able to help out. On top of that, I have said this over and over and over again, where I don't want the Raiders just be like, oh, Dylan Parham's a left guard, we need to find a right guard. Dalton Risner is the best offensive guard available right now on the free agent market, and I don't really think it's all that close. Like, you could look at some other options this year in the draft. Zinter's not even going to play this season. Like, Phil Haynes, Dylan McCann, Trey Turner, Landon Robinson. I don't want any of those guys starting at right guard in year one. Like, you could go with Mark Lewinsky, but Mark Lewinsky and Dylan Parham is not stronger than Dalton Risner and Dylan Parham. Like Greg Van Roten, I don't know if he's going to be coming back. And then sure, you could look at your two best right guard options in Christian Mahogany and Christian Haynes in the draft, but then that also means you're going to have to take Haynes probably at pick 44 or 77, and Mahogany's more of a round 4, round 5 guy, but are you going to trust somebody like that to pair next to Thayer Munford? Because that's the other part of this equation. You're going to take one of those offensive linemen and put him next to Thayer Munford. That's putting a lot of pressure on your right side of your offensive line. Do I think that most of those players are better than Jordan Meredith? Yes. Do I want Jordan Meredith starting? No, I do not. Of course I don't. But what I don't want is the Raiders to just say, oh, we need a right guard, and they're only looking at the right side, where they could sign a left guard in Risner and then kick Parham over to the right side and create just a little bit more flexibility. So let's just play a game here. Let's say Raiders watch this video, they go out, they sign Risner probably to a $4 million, $5 million contract per year, and then you have Colton Miller, Risner at left guard, Andre James at center, Dylan Parham at right guard, Thayer Munford at right tackle. If this was your week 1 starting offensive line, how confident would you be in it? I want you to scale it from me from 1 to 10. 1 being, you're not confident at all in this. 10 being, it's the best offensive line in the National Football League. My answer would be a solid 7. And there's still offensive lines that I believe are better. I don't think it's one of the worst offensive lines by any of the stretch of the imagination. I do think that James Craig can get the most out of this unit. Like, if Carmen Brasilla was still here with the Raiders, who I still will say is probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, he left to go to the Giants. We have Craig, who was with the Niners the last 2 seasons, and then the year before that did a hell of a job at LSU. Like, I do think James Craig can be a good offensive line coach. However, though, he's not as good as Brassillo, and there is still some mixing and matching. But, like, that offensive line is probably a top 10 unit in the league. Let's go to some stories here. Top 30 visits as promised. The Silver and Black over the weekend, maybe not over the weekend, it might have been Friday or Thursday, did meet with Jayden Hicks, safety, and this doesn't technically count as it doesn't count as a top 30 visit because if you remember, you're allowed to have as many local visits as you want. It's just top 30 visits don't consider Jayden Hicks because he's there in Las Vegas. But what's interesting is we don't really look at safety as being a big-time need, I think, for the Raiders. But Hicks has said that he would love to play for the Raiders. Our team at Chat Sports had the opportunity to talk to him at the NFL Combine, grew up a Raiders fan. So, there's definitely a big pull of, yeah, it'd be kind of dope, man, to get him into the room. Tom Telesco also said that he's going to be meeting with the Browns and the Jets. So just something to kind of throw out there. But as you can see, it is confirmed by Pelissero that Jayden Hicks is meeting with the Las Vegas Raiders. The next story coming up here on the show is around the Raiders potentially signing a quarterback. And I talked about him last week because himself, it has not been confirmed by I'll call it, reliable source. Now, I do know that he worked out on Friday, and I'm not going to sit up here and say MLF is a reliable source. They provide content. That's what they do. But they said former Ohio State and Gannon quarterback Kory Curtis and the Las Vegas Raiders have strong mutual interest in getting a deal done after his workout on Friday. League sources tell MLF. I'm telling you, based on me trying to connect the dots, I'm guessing that this Kory Curtis guy is telling MLF because these two have been kind of going back and forth on social media of, I think Curtis is just saying, oh, yeah, the workout went really well, and they're interested in signing me. When I would be shocked if the Raiders signed Kory Curtis, and if you don't know who he is, he is working out with 5 NFL teams. He did apparently look pretty good at his Big 12 Pro Day. Curtis stated that he does have a private workout with the Raiders on Friday, the same day as that Bo Nix was there last week. But, this is a West Texas Desert Hawk quarterback. He played college football at Ohio State. When I say played, he was on the roster. He's really only played at Bryant and at Gannon. He does have a strong arm at 6'3", 230 pounds, but you're talking about practice squad is the ceiling, right? If practice squad is the ceiling, I'm not really sure how likely it is that you're going to bring Kory Curtis in. To me, there's a story going out there. I think it is more of somebody just saying, yeah, the workout went really well. We have mutual interest. But the mutual interest is really just on one side. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, got some bad news around Jaden Daniels, man. I've always been hopeful that the Raiders could get him, but my hope has definitely gone down a little bit after some words that were said today on Colin Cowherd's show. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage anyone to go out there. But the bad news around Jaden Daniels, man, it definitely sucks. There's no doubt about it. We'll get to it in a second, but for those that do not know, for those of you who are watching live, we have our final 4 today on the Raiders Report. One of David Zahn, Jose Corona, Troy Williams, James Guevara. One of these 4 people are going to win $1,600. And if you watch this show and you're not watching it live, go check out our live show to see who ended up winning the $1,600. But appreciate all 64 people that entered. Good luck to every one of y'all, because if I could give $1,600 to all y'all, I'd have to spin Gimmel, but some of y'all get that joke, some of you won't. Good luck to each and every one of you. Let's get into the show now around Jayden Daniels. And according to Colin Cowherd, Jayden is essentially a lock to go to the Washington Commanders at 2. He said if the draft were to be today, their pick would be Jayden. The reason why I do find this to be notable is because Cowherd clearly has somebody in the Commanders that he's very, very close to. He's got somebody. He was on top of the Cliff Kingsbury backing out of the Raiders deal and Cliff going to Washington deal. He was right on top of that. He's been very tuned in with, I think, the whole Caleb Williams story, which then also kind of went back to the Commanders, if you remember, because they ended up getting Cliff Kingsbury. To me, Colin Cowherd has somebody that he talks to that is very well connected to the Commanders. And for Cowherd to say that he believes if the draft were to be today and that the Commanders would take Jayden Daniels at number 2 overall, I hear that, and I do think that it's a very legit chance now that Jayden goes number 2. Obviously, still a lot of stuff can change. There's still a lot of smoke and fire, and that's going to be what happens over the NFL draft. But Cowherd's got somebody that he knows of the Commanders, and for him to say that, my hopes of him being in silver and black have definitely gone down a little bit. If you haven't already, make sure you make an Instagram. Shout out to Nabman, who finally made one. Also, don't be afraid to hit up Chugs and I on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz. He's at Jeremy Chugs. We do our best to keep you guys up to date on all things going on around the Raiders, on all things going on in our lives. And if you didn't see the solar eclipse, I put out a really cool picture on IG and on Twitter. I put it on my story. I mean, we had a full solar eclipse here in Dallas. Let me know if you guys watched it. My dad drove 5-6 hours, I want to say, to go watch the eclipse. Now, he's a little crazy, but it was still one of the coolest experiences I have ever seen. And if you want to see what Chugs and I saw, because for it to be 1:40 in the afternoon and for it to be pitch black is something that I will remember for the rest of my life. So if you want to go see it, hit me up, social media. I think you guys would enjoy it.